Kelly. Episode 8. It's September 1st.
The 1st of September, we made it.
We made it. Last month of Q3 for me. Stuff that's happened since last time. Played Ultimate Frisbee for the second time. And it's one of those things where it's dramatically improved from last time. But it's not like last time was that big a deal. But I can tell if I do it for like 6 weeks straight, I'll be in a very, very good place. But I also have my penultimate benchmark this weekend.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I don't have 6 weeks to get better. I'm trying to run 2 miles in less than 14 minutes, and my last time was like 18 minutes something. So you're going to have to really haul ass and improve a lot to check that box. See what happens there.
You got this.
We'll see how close I am to having it.
I mean, honestly, you set some pretty lofty goals. If you get anywhere near these goals, then I think you're winning.
Cool.
Plus, I mean, you look really good right now.
Woo!
Nice.
We got, I'm also traveling next week. I'm going to DC Wednesday in a place called Mechanicsburg, which is right outside Harrisburg, PA, on Thursday. And so we probably won't do a podcast.
Yeah.
Unless we want to put one in the can, as they say in the industry.
Or we could do a remote Zoom one.
Could do that. But it would have to be the Wednesday before, because Thursday, this saddens me greatly. I'll definitely be on a plane during the first NFL game of the year.
That's some shit.
Yeah. I do have the ability, and I am going to do this as soon as I get home, to watch a condensed version of that first game, like a 42, 45 minute version of it. But, yeah, I'll be on a plane. I might be able to watch it on Wi-Fi on my phone or something because it's an American flight, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Anything changed with you from last Thursday?
Last Thursday, what happened? Today's Thursday. It's always Thursday when we do these things.
Yeah.
Sorry. Not a whole lot. I guess right now I do a lot of little just little pet projects every once in a while just to keep myself entertained and sane. I mess with a lot of things. Like I tried sculpting for a week one time, and that was kind of fun. A lot of little stuff. I do a lot of stuff with music, and recently I have been reminiscing and listening to a lot of old pop punk stuff.
What is pop punk to you?
Pop punk is like Sum 41. I mean, Green Day, I think, would even be considered pop punk. Blink-182. And then I also put Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco in that realm as well, although they're also kind of emo, but I think there's definitely, I consider it pop punk as well. So
cool. I didn't know how much I liked Blink-182 and how many hits they had until I listened to some song or another, and then Google was just like, listen to this one next. Listen to this one next, and it was just like one banger after another. I'm like, that's pretty good.
I went to a Blink-182 concert once, and it was a good time. Mm-hmm. It was right in the middle of they were on top of the world at the time. I was on the grass at Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion in Woodlands. Went with I believe my brother. Had a really good time. Bowling for Soup is another one. Mm-hmm. I remember that, or I bring that up because saying that I went to, didn't really realize how many shows I went to with my brother.
I was a little surprised to hear you say that.
I went with him to 182. We went and saw MXPX at Numbers one time. Mm-hmm. And the opening act for them at the time was an up-and-coming band who hadn't quite made it, but was just about to, Good Charlotte.
Okay.
So I got to see them right before they blew up, which is pretty cool. And there was, I didn't plan on talking about any of this, but fuck it, we'll do it. I remember there was one time too where my brother, I was in high school. I don't know if he was still in I don't think he was still in high school. I think he was just out of it. But he decided to do something sneaky on me. So back in the day, it was the norm to go to the mall and just hang out with friends and walk around. Like, I did it all the time. Like, I walked so many miles in the Woodlands Mall. Like, it's ridiculous. But one evening, I was at the Woodlands Mall and with friends, and my brother calls me, and he was like, Mom and Dad are pissed. They told me that I need to come get you and take you home. And I was just utterly confused. I wasn't like scared or anything, because I was like, I did nothing. Like, I know when I do stuff wrong, and I know when to expect it. Like, there's nothing I could have accidentally done. Because my parents weren't like that strict of parents. Like, they would have had to found like a dead body in my room, basically, to like send my brother to come get me. So I thought it was weird, but I was like, okay, whatever. So he comes and he gets me, and he's acting it up, like he's like acting all upset and mad and everything. We find each other in the mall, and then we go walk to his car, and maybe he was still in high school. Maybe, because I should have had a car. Because I had a car
early.
Very early. I was one of the very first ones to have rides. Or maybe, I don't know, I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we go out to his car, and I get in the passenger seat. But I notice in the back seat, there's a Domino's pizza and my sneakers. And I was like, okay. And then at that point, I remembered he talked about a show that night, and I guess he just really wanted me to go with him. He like kind of surprised me with it. So I kind of figured it out, and then I asked him, and he told me, we were going to see Bowling for Soup at Fitzgerald's. And that was a really fun, unexpected situation show, actually. I was standing like right in the front, like right next to the band, like literally I was as close, like the guitarist was as far away as you are from me right now, which is like 3 feet, 4 feet maybe. So close actually that during their set, he did a lot of like goofy stuff while he was playing. Like he would do tricks with his pick, like he'd throw it behind his back and catch it and like stick it on his forehead and then do it. So he had a lot of picks. Like there's a pick holder that goes on a mic stand, and he had a lot of picks. But towards the end of their set, he lost his last one. Like he dropped it, and there was no more on his pick holder. But I look down, and pretty close to me, I see one of his picks, and I'm like, I grab it and I give it to him, and he takes it and keeps playing.
Nice.
And after the show, like I end up getting like passing him and walking or something, and he like, or no, he actually came over to me after the show, and he was like, thanks for the help on handing me that pick, and he gave it back to me. So had that. I don't know if I still have it or where it would even be, but that was a pretty cool story, or a pretty cool time. But that was a big story that I didn't intend to tell. Coming back to now, and so there is definitely, I have a relationship with pop punk. There might have been a time where it was like a guilty pleasure for me, but I feel no guilt anymore.
We're post shame.
I have no shame at all, and I love the shit. And I got to thinking, I was like, I've never actually tried to write a pop punk song. I've tried to write a lot of different kinds of songs over the years.
I think Christmas Song was the last song.
Christmas Song was, I think, the last song. I wrote a Christmas song last year.
We're definitely going to release that and hype that up. It's a strong song.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of it, especially for me having to write lyrics and sing on it. Like, I am not a lyricist. I'm not a singer. I'm a instrument, like, composer and player. I don't do the real emotions and
I know it's a strong song because even now I'm trying not to think about it too much because it's already stuck in my head. I'm trying not to have it stuck there too long now.
So yeah, wanted to give it a shot. I probably put about, so far, maybe 4 hours into it. And I've got basically guitars, like everything's written. The whole song's written in terms of instruments. And I have a rough recording of the entire thing. Right now I'm going to go back and pretty much re-record the whole thing just better, since I know what I'm playing instead of... Because when I write songs, like I sit at the computer and I just try to think of stuff on the spot. And when I think of it, I record it, and then that's it. So it's just a very kind of stream of consciousness thing. It comes out, and then I put it there, and then I listen to it about 15,000 times and think of like what I can do better, how I can do better. And then for me, really, it's weird. Like when I write something, just thinking about it, listening to it over and over, I don't even have to practice. I get better at it. It's a pretty cool little trick to have. So yeah, I'm going to do that. And here's a real fun bit about it. So you brought up the Christmas song last year when I did that. I shared it with pretty much everyone I know, because, I mean, one of the biggest thrills I have in life is doing anything and someone complimenting me. I just don't get a lot of compliments in this world. So, sure. Especially when I create something like from scratch and like really try, and like someone's like, "That's really cool." That, like, stupid stuff too, and it's not even just music. Like when I do anything and I get any praise. Like when I first got promoted to manager when I worked for Red Lobster, and I had to go to Orlando for a week for training. When I got back, my director like came in and sat me down, he sent me an email, and it was like, just talked with all the leaders from the training, and they said it was a really good class, but they had one standout that was a cut above everyone else, and it was you. And I literally saved that email, and I still read it to this day sometimes when I need to pick me up. Like I love those compliments. So, which is also really scary, because I'm afraid if I put out something and it's not good and I don't get the compliments, then it breaks my heart. Which is why I don't like to share a lot of my stuff with you, especially in the early stages, just because you don't fuck around. you say it how it is.
I'm sorry.
No, it's totally okay, and I need that. Like that's the only way I'll get better, is if someone's like honest with me about it. But it's still like, and I know a lot of times when I send stuff to you, it is in very unpolished early stages. Just because I'm so excited, I want people to hear this. Like, I've let a couple of people listen to, like, I let my brother listen to the rendition. I have this new song now, and Jeremy has obviously heard it just because he's around. But anyway, I kind of lost track. But back last Christmas time, I released my Christmas song. Yeah. And sent it to everybody I know. Oh yeah, that's how we got on that tangent. Because I liked the fart sniffing. Me sniffing my own farts. And I shared it with Jamie and Corey as well. And Jamie reached out to me and was messaging me. She was like, "Hey, that's really cool." She's like, I'm kind of, I do some singing, and it'd be fun maybe sometime in the future to collaborate. And I was like, cool. And I wanted to see what she had to, like, if she had anything she could share with her singing, just so I could hear it. Because I'm a musician. I like talking with other musicians, listening to their shit. Yeah. And so she sent me some of her stuff. And she is an absolutely fucking incredible singer. Like, I thought, like, Corey was the best singer that I knew. And he's good. He's really good. Although, he definitely just needs just a little bit more to be, like... If he would have taken a few vocal lessons, I think we would have been rock stars. But that's neither here nor there. He still has an amazing voice. And he's one of the most amazing lyricists I've ever known. But Jamie, like, beats him. Like, by far. Like, I guess she's had, like, real training and stuff. And she's done, like, on stage, like... musicals and stuff too, so she has a gorgeous, beautiful, powerful voice, and
so a lot of natural talent, but then also hours of critique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, hell yeah, we'll do something eventually. So throughout knowing Jamie, and also just kind of wanting to be a little bit more part of her life and her being part of mine, I reach out to her from time to time and just kind of chat about stupid stuff or whatever. And not all that long ago, I watch a lot of stupid things on YouTube. One of the things, this thing specifically, it's a guy who takes songs and covers them, but does them in different genres.
Sure.
And one I sent her was like, I think the first one I sent her back in the day was Panic at the Disco's, like their biggest hit. I forgot what it's called, but that I chime in.
Yeah.
Haven't you people ever heard of? Guy covered that song, but did it as like a country song, and it just fucking tickled the shit out of me. And I wanted to share it with anyone who I thought might like it. And I know that Corey and Jamie enjoy country music as well. None of my real close people really fuck. Well, okay, take it back. I know they both fuck with country music and like pop punk stuff. Well, I learned that they did through this. So find out Jamie's actually a really big pop punk fan.
Okay.
So when I did this, I was like, this could be really cool if like I could somehow integrate her and Corey into this song and like have them like write lyrics and sing on it. The logistics of actually like recording them, because they don't really have any recording equipment where they're at. They're in Iowa. Not sure how we'll make it work, but we'll make it work eventually. But I sent it to them. They listened to it. They both really enjoyed it. And Corey told me that Jamie already had some ideas like shortly after I sent it to him. So look out sometime in the future once we can figure out the logistics of how to do it. I'm gonna put out a fully fledged pop punk song with hopefully vocals by Jamie and Corey. Jamie and Corey, if you're listening, absolutely no pressure. If this doesn't come to fruition, do not worry. It's totally fine. I've already really just enjoyed this process anyway. But if it happens, I think it'll be awesome.
I think working in your favor is that both of them are used to remote audio music-ing.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is I think they just need a decent microphone, like something like the one we're talking on right now. I think if they had that in this free software that I use to record us on a computer, I think they could get good enough raw tracks to send me, and then I could do my audio wizardry on it to just make it sound a little bit better.
Yeah. I like that. It sounds very 21st century.
But yeah, I mean, and hopefully if this goes well, if they enjoy doing this, if they do this actually and enjoy it, it's something I'd definitely like to do a lot more of. Not necessarily specifically pop punk. Like I jump around genres a lot too.
Whatever tickles your fancy.
Yeah, and it's funny too because pretty much anytime I write a new song, in my mind, there's nowhere I do this. Well, I do have a SoundCloud account where I post a lot of stuff, just some of my random music I've made over the years. And okay, kind of rewind. So the main band that me and Corey and Jeremy and the other guys were in back in high school, post-high school, was called Just a Ride. And I love that name. I really, really love that name. So I kind of use that as a framework for like the quote-unquote names for all my other quote-unquote bands or musical projects. Like the one on SoundCloud, I call it Just a Thought. Like, it's just my random musical thoughts that I put out into the world.
This was almost just a podcast?
This was almost just a podcast if someone else didn't already have that. And I was thinking about this pop punk song, and I was like, I think this band would be called Just a Phase. Just because pop punk thing was kind of like a phase. And I think that's kind of funny.
Word?
So, and I had some other things made off just right. But I can't remember them right now. So, but yeah, that's I guess the most exciting thing going on right now. I got this little song. It's I don't know if it is for other people because I haven't given it to enough people yet. But it's an earworm for me. Like just the instruments, like in my head, it's just on repeat all the time.
Yeah. Again, try not try not to go there, but the Christmas song is a real earworm. Well, it must have been you, but if I say a death metal reggaeton crossover, does that shake any?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's a video of some band that like did something like that, I think.
I guess I'll Google that and listen to it again, but I remember seeing the two things together. I was like, but then you listen to it, it's like, oh, this is great. It does tickle my fancy.
Yeah, a lot of cool, interesting music out there. A lot of weird music. Jeremy just introduced me to this new band. I completely forget their name right now, but he showed it to you as well. The band that...
Oh, yeah, the kind of... with the marching band?
Yeah,
the Blue Coats?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the Blue Devils.
Right.
Right.
But, that music's really cool, but that takes it feels like it takes a lot of energy for me to listen to it. Like, I gotta, like, really think while I'm listening to it, because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Like, it's, for everyone listening, it's like a jazz, fusion, metal kind of situation. Mm-hmm. All over the place. Like, it's that kind of music that you can't ever really just, like, relax when you're listening to it.
Sure,
You gotta be actively listening the whole time.
All that math rock stuff. Like, Jared compared it to Mars Volta.
Yeah.
And, like, their first couple albums, I think, are real, like, thematic and, like, wonderful, like, storytelling albums. But then the ones after that, I wish I could remember the names, but they named these things so crazy. The one that came after Crematorium and the one after that. They're just real math rocky, and you're just, like, laying there with your eyes closed trying to draw pictures in your head while there's all this, like, weird time signatures and crazy percussion always.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked what Jared shared, because it also threw in a bunch of brass and marching band stuff, good sax stuff. I think even some solos. Yeah.
I mean, it's really good, but it's not music I can listen to all the time. Like, I need it in short spurts.
It does take effort, yeah. It's not like background music.
And even, like, something like pop punk, like, that's just... You don't have to focus on that at all. That's just
Yeah.
You just
enjoy it.
Just vibing.
Yeah. What was that band we took Jared to see downtown? We went on, like, a Monday night.
Recently?
Yeah.
Some more recently.
Covet?
There's Well, I know we've been to Covet.
Okay.
And the most recent one was the Hikes and the...
Was that not Hikes and Covet?
I guess it was.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was a Covet show.
That was, I mean, I haven't been to a show since then. That was kind of like, I was still nervous about COVID then. I'm way less nervous about COVID now.
I think that's before I got COVID.
Yeah. And just those small venues, like you were kind of talking about it before, even though we were, like, at the entrance and the stage was however far away, it's still so much closer than if you went to any, like, arena or Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion, which also I've been to a bunch of concerts there and all that. And no matter what, it seems like the band always ends up walking by you, because we were, like, all the way at the entrance, as, like, far away as we could be from the stage, and then still all the band members ended up, like, hanging out at the merch table and then hanging out at the entrance, and could have thrown our gum in their hair if we wanted to.
Yeah, I thought about possibly sticking around a little bit after Covet was done. Mm-hmm. Hopefully to have an interaction with Yvette, the main person of Covet. Mm-hmm. Mostly because Jeremy bought her signature guitar.
Right.
Like, he really enjoys her, and he really likes that guitar. And for his birthday last year, I guess it was, got him a cameo from her for him, and she, like, played a happy birthday song, a fancy rendition of Happy Birthday to him on the cameo, and it was real nice. But it's funny because in the lead up to me getting that cameo for him from her, like, you send them information about what's going on, what you could talk about. I was like, hey, it's my buddy's birthday. He really likes your shit. He just bought your guitar. Just came in. Just if you just say happy birthday to him. And she does the cameo super awesome.
It was really good.
Like, I still have Cameo installed on my phone just so I can personally go back and watch it, because I was the one that got it. I think it's been a while since I've tried to watch it, but in the thing, she didn't actually say anything about him getting her signature guitar,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought she kind of might, because I mean, she's not that big of an artist, so if, like, anyone buying her signature guitar is pretty cool. And after she sent it to me, she, like, through the app, like, messaged me back, just like me and her, like, one-on-one. We have a little conversation back and forth because she was like, I'm so sorry, I completely forgot to say thank you about my guitar, this and that.
Yeah.
Let him know, and I was like, absolutely, I'll tell him. And then I said a couple things to her. She said a couple more things to me, and then that was it. But
awesome.
I actually had like a text exchange with her. But yeah, her just like being so aware that like,
yeah,
and caring so much to reach back out to just a random, just
mm-hmm.
to say that she's really cool. Like, I really enjoy Covet, even though that it's another math rock band. It takes a lot of effort to listen to, but they're a lot more chill than some of these other bands. Like some of these, like the band that we were just talking about that Jeremy just showed us, that takes a lot more work than Covet to listen to.
Yeah, I love that. Man, I was downtown yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
There was a partner that flew in from DC, and it was literally his first time in Austin. And he's been in the industry, in the software industry, for 15 years. He was going to see a big IT outfit up here in Round Rock, who IT Round Rock, it's Dell. And for 15 years, like, having partners like Dell, he'd never been to Austin, which I found shocking. And the guy, when we were texting back and forth, because he saw on my signature block that I'm in Austin, and he was like, hey, I'm actually going to be in Austin. Do you want to meet up? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, cool, I'm at the W. And, you know, for Austinites or for people that have been here, there's a famous hotel called the W adjacent a famous music venue. Mm-hmm. And cool. I mean, I thought it was kind of expensive, but he's a dude from DC, from a successful place, so if he wants to put him up at the W, put him up at the W, whatever. Right. And I drive down there, park in the parking garage, which is like 5 minutes away, 3 minutes away even, and I'm like, hey, just parked, be there in 3. He's like, cool, I'm green shirt at the lobby bar. Walk in, and, you know, first thing you see is the lobby, and like, where's the bar? There's the bar. 3 dudes sitting there watching soccer. One of them's wearing a green shirt. I'm like, you're not. Nope. I'm like, huh. So then I go around a corner. There's another bar. Another guy. Not. Oh, I said his name. Dang it.
Yeah. I caught it.
All right.
I'll bleep it. Continue.
So you go to the second bar, see another guy. It's also not the guy. Go around another corner. The W is like a maze on the first floor. It's 3 bars, and know the guy in there, and text him. And this is all. I'm sorry it's taking so long, but
no, you're fine.
It turns out he's at the Westin, and I don't know if people that travel a lot call the Westin the W all the time, but this guy did, and it was another 6 blocks and 2 blocks, 6 blocks that way, 2 blocks around the corner. Got there, and he was very apologetic about it, but sincerely, I enjoyed it because there's like 6 new buildings that are up since the last time I walked downtown for any amount of time, and at one point the homelessness was pretty bad, but I've also been walking the streets of places like San Diego and Washington, D.C. quite a bit. It's not like that at all. And just the vibe. It's such a good vibe, especially on the way back when like the sun was setting. And you just asked me all about Austin, like what did I like about Austin? And I told him like when we were in high school, we'd go to UT because like people's brothers and siblings and stuff were there. And then like get out of high school, go to UT to party with folks like Spencer. For the longest time, it was like all I knew about Austin was like campus and the music scene, and just that experience that we had that one Monday night with Jeremy, and just that vibe and energy just magnified over like all those little venues all over Austin, and just that anything is possible mentality of youth. I think it's a really good vibe, And it feels like the city is kind of like matured and grown as we've matured and grown. Mm-hmm. And now it's like all this high rises and tech companies and Joe Rogan's moving in and Elon Musk's moving in. It's kind of like the city just keeps changing as we get older.
Mm-hmm.
But it was fun to, like a guy who had never ever been here, and be like, there's no restaurant you could go in that you wouldn't want to eat in. There's any kind of dive, just go in there and live it up. And he seemed like a guy that was going to have a good time.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's a fun city. Like, wasn't raised here, and again, like, all I knew about Austin for the longest time was just, like, partying and fun. And then I moved out here in 2011 and moved to, like, the southwest side and was like, oh, there's, like, actually a lot of nature and beauty here. And everybody's really nice. And I've talked about this before, like, having traveled and for brief periods of time, but periods of time lived, like, all over the U.S.
Yeah.
I always want to come back to Texas and always want to have this be my home, despite everything.
Can't say I share the same sentiment with you, which is a bummer because, I mean, I know you're pretty connected to here. Jared's really connected to here, but at some point I have to leave Texas, at least for some significant amount of time. Mm-hmm. I can't stay here forever. There's so many other things I want in a place to live. So many other things. And
it was nice to go to Iowa for a period of time and see the cool people there, but then it was also like, I don't know if I want to live here.
Man, I don't know if I brought this up to you yesterday, because I was thinking about it, but I can't remember if I did or not. I know I've talked to Jeremy about it. But so, like, when we travel, like, Jeremy and I decided a while back, like, when we go to different places, we get a refrigerator magnet, put on the refrigerator when we get home, and just to, like, remember that trip.
Cool.
Just recently, I guess it was because he recently went to Colorado.
Yeah.
And he brought back a couple magnets from that.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I just realized that we just recently went to Iowa, driving through Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, and Iowa, all states that, well, most of the states, I've been to Oklahoma, but I haven't been to Missouri, Iowa, or Kansas before. Mm-hmm. And Jared hasn't been to any of those states. We didn't think a single time to get a magnet from any of the states we were in.
Yeah.
And we stopped in every single state at least a gas station, and gas stations have that kind of shit.
They sure do.
So we just I'm so disappointed in myself for not thinking. I mean, that whole trip, at least to get there, and then I guess to get home, it was kind of stressful. Just the whole driving thing and just being so last second. I wasn't a clear head. But man, to have Oklahoma magnet, have a Kansas magnet, a Missouri magnet, an Iowa magnet, really filled out the travel board we got going on. Mm-hmm. We didn't. And I was thinking about, I was like, maybe I could just order magnets from them since I've been there. And I talked to Jeremy about that, and he was like, yeah, that's not how that works. And I agree.
We just have to take another road trip. Sorry, buddy. Sorry about it.
I'm not mad at the road trip. Like, I've come around more. Like, that trip really did make me come around on road tripping more. Like, it wasn't as bad as could have been. So I'm more open to it. But to do that exact same one again, like, I've checked. I mean, I guess Iowa, I would do it to go see Corey and Jamie, for sure. And if flying wasn't possible, then I would do that drive again. But I really have no want to ever go back to Kansas, Missouri, or Oklahoma. Although Oklahoma does have casinos, which is kind of neat. But at this point, getting from here to Oklahoma, might as well just go to Vegas. It's probably going to cost about the same, because getting to and from Vegas is cheap.
Yeah.
And staying there is pretty cheap. So yeah, just super mad about that. Sorry, that was just something that you just triggered.
Sorry, buddy. So, about 34 minutes in, the notes that I wrote for this week, football season starts. I mean, there were some college games on last week, but there's like really good college games starting this week.
Right.
We have our draft on Saturday.
I have so many drafts this weekend.
I have so many drafts. I'll probably put a calendar of all the drafts that I have up with these show notes because it's increased since last time. But this week is Serena Williams' swan song. is her graceful exit from the sport, and all signs point to her going out on top. Like, she dominated the number 2 ranked person yesterday. I don't know what time she plays tonight, but when I started writing this because, first of all, before we get into that, this is a baseball season that I'm going to wish that I had paid more attention to.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. I was looking at it today.
A ton of cool stuff and a ton of franchises that I think are cool that I've always liked since I was a kid. Like the Braves were always like near and dear to me, but so are like the Mariners.
That's weird that you like the Braves since like Astros and Braves were huge rivals for so long.
And again, the Cardinals too.
Okay, I was a Cardinals fan because
they were also huge.
I know. My grandmother was from St. Louis area, and she grew up loving the Cardinals. So she loved the Astros and the Cardinals. So she taught me that I can love teams that don't like each other.
Yeah, and I don't know that love's probably not the right word for the Mets. Maybe like pity.
I get that.
Yeah, so it's great to see them doing so well and doing it with such pizzazz.
Yeah.
When I started writing this, Aaron Judge had just hit his 52nd home run. Mm-hmm. Still something like 30 games left to go. So he has a chance of setting records.
Yeah.
We'll see. But even if he doesn't, he's crushing it out there.
I don't like him.
He works for the evil empire. And I like having a strong heel, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So if anybody's going to overcome them, I mean, the last few years, it's been great to see like the Tampa Bay Rays do so well and these teams that...
I don't like them.
I don't like that they beat the Astros, but I would love to see the Mariners like go in there and win it all, do something cool. I'd like to see...
Mariners?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought you were still on the Rays. I got jumped.
I think they're doing well too, but similarly, I don't really follow them. It's cool that they're a small market team that does well, but like teams again for me that I grew up wanting to see them do well, definitely Seattle. And
I like Seattle. I mean, Seattle is where I wish I lived right now. Mm-hmm. I wish I could afford to live there, but also because of Ken Griffey Jr. and Ichiro, two amazing Mariners.
Mm-hmm. But Serena Williams doing all the great stuff that she's done. Multi-generational dominance is something that like Tom Brady is definitely known for and will be known for, just lasting as long as he has.
Yeah.
And just knocking out like multiple crops, staying on top of multiple cohorts of like really, really good people and just still being the best out of all of them, I think is something that's amazing. So, I mean, we've seen that with Serena Williams, Tom Brady, Floyd Mayweather, just in our lifetimes. Like, we've really been exposed to like amazing talent that
Tiger.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, he started really young, so he had a long run where he was like the guy, which I think it could be comparable to like how long these other people you're talking about's runs have been, but I mean, his is kind of over, but still.
Yeah, it's just a golden age, right? I mean, it's like, when have there ever been this many dominant feats like all going on at the same time? LeBron is who I was thinking of, yeah. And he started like when we came out of high school, right?
I think he's like a year older than us.
Yeah. So it's amazing. And I don't know. For Serena Williams, I hope they all get movies. I know that the Williams sisters have one. I haven't watched it because I think I would just cry. I love the... it's never... I mean, you've seen Man in the Arena.
I have not.
Really?
Actually. I've been meaning to.
We can watch it together. It's just amazing to see, like, longevity is something that happens.
Yeah.
But longevity and dominance, it never... There's always a story behind it.
Yeah.
And, like, you can build monuments. You can build structures and get it wrong and fix it. And you can chisel stone and you can... There's all of these signals of greatness that can be man-made and put together, but when you talk about the difference between an effort of many people out of things that you can get wrong and fix and put back later versus like a single person's life and all the things that go into making that individual a certain way, but then executing, like time and time and time and time and time again, where it's not like you ran one race and you finished that race first.
Mm-hmm.
Like for Serena Williams, it's like multiple matches and like multiple like sets and points in those matches, and just like over and over and over and over again for so long, and to stay on top of those, to execute in the moment, but then also set yourself up to be successful in it. It's just like the pyramids are inspired, but that's a wholly different thing than like the individual human.
That's aliens.
The Empire State Building is impressive, but
we did that.
Serena Williams, the human being, is gonna go down as like one of the most impressive like people ever. We played a trivia game recently where it was kind of a fucked up trivia game, and it was like one of us was gonna die, so we had to like put who the greatest athlete was, and I tried to play the game within the game and put Lance Armstrong, thinking that would like get me not killed. It did the exact opposite. But definitely my money for greatest athlete it was Serena Williams.
What's so impressive about her specifically is that like Tom Brady, yeah, he's a GOAT in what he does, but he has a whole team around him.
Yeah.
Like, he can have down days and his team can build him back up. Like, Michael Jordan, same. LeBron, same. But when you're out there, like, those one-on-one sports are just wild to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm much more of a team sport kind of guy than a single-player sport. Because out there, you're on your own island. Like, you're living between your ears. Like, you have to be so self-assured and confident and just so mentally strong, along with being physically gifted like no one else in the world. And it's just such an impressive thing. And yeah, I mean, she is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of greatest athletes of all time. She is 1,000% on that Mount Rushmore.
I think when they do build that Mount Rushmore, I guess that's what I'm getting at, is like so many of these athletes are going to be alive like when we were alive. Like,
well, the thing is too, though, that I'm probably, I mean, I don't know where the bell curve ends, but I think over the last 50, 100 years of sport, we've just seen such an increase of ability in people coming from just all different training techniques, new technologies, nutrition, pliability stuff, like all the stuff. Like, we've really gotten good at honing the human body, whereas in 30, 50, 100 years ago, like, that just wasn't there. Like, if you put Babe Ruth out on a baseball field right now, I don't think he'd make it in the minor leagues.
There's also, like, the sport sort of changes. Like, people that talk about LeBron versus Michael Jordan say, well, basketball has changed since then.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about, like, Tiger's dominance, like, golf has not changed. Like, golf is golf.
Right.
And similarly, it's not just that the sport hasn't changed, but it's also that, like, no team element. That it's just Serena Williams, like, versus, you know, the other person. And I think that's why I think she is, like, a little bit above everybody else, is not just because there's the team, but also the sports have kind of changed to be less contacty. But, I mean, Tiger hitting that golf club, tennis is not a contact sport, but you're working a hell of a lot harder.
Yeah.
Michael Phelps, dominant in swimming, it's like dying at the end of it, right? Like, you're giving your all, but you're giving your all for that one race.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
several races in the course of a couple days, but
yeah. Definitely could have more than one in a day.
And it's not competitive. It's not versus a person trying to, like, trick you.
Well, it's not one-on-one. I mean, you're against
you're right. It's competitive. You're right. But it's not against other people trying to fool you with techniques.
I mean, maybe there is something to that in the pool. We have no idea. We're not pro swimmers. There might be they could like fake out their spin at the turn of a one-way down, turning around to get back to do something. I don't know.
They could be yelling like psychological insults underwater.
Probably.
Yeah, stuff like that.
No, actually, they probably don't do anything like that. Because in a sport like that, like, you do absolutely anything that's not for the speed.
I'm just trying to back up your argument that there's some sort of
I appreciate
tricks going on. I love that she came out. I put this on my Facebook, like her coming out of the tunnel, but that she had like a specially made uniform for it.
I saw her kid.
Shoes.
That was awesome. Her daughter wearing matching stuff in the crowd. Man,
I just want nothing but the best for her.
So, okay, I don't know that much at all about tennis, but I have to assume that she's like absolutely beloved in the tennis community and like with other like professional tennis players, men and women. Could you imagine actually like being the person if she was to lose or not win the whole thing in this swan song of hers? Could you imagine being that person that beat her? Like, I would not want to beat her. I'm like, unless maybe I was, well, no. I was about to say, if I was like a no-name and somehow I got to the championship against her. But if I was a no-name and I got to the championship, that's like the only, or probably the most acceptable way to lose to her. But it's like, do you really think her, I mean, I'm sure her opponents are really giving it their all and trying, but I definitely see if someone were to beat her and knock her out, like there'd be some kind of remorse at the end of that.
I think the redeeming part of that is that she'd probably be super cool about it. Like she would come over and like raise your hand and sort of like a passing the torch type thing. That's what I think it would be fine, is because she would definitely go out gracefully and pat her on the back, but I hope she wins it all.
All I could say is if I was in that tournament, professional women tennis player, and I was facing her, I don't know if I'd give it all my all. I mean, I might give it my all, but then like take some select moments to have mistakes.
Just as good to be the person who lost the streak.
Although at the same time, then you got the whole paradox of like, she wouldn't want to win unless you were giving it your all. So, I'm so glad I'm not a professional tennis player right now.
Now I just get to watch. About time?
Yeah, I think that was a lot of fun. I talked about a lot of stuff I had no idea I was going to talk about or have even thought about in a long time. And yeah, not enough good can be said about Serena. I just pray that nothing ever comes out about her doing something bad and getting canceled. Yeah, that's the worst. Yeah, had a good time. Not sure if we'll have an episode dropping next week or not. If we'll let you know if we do.
By the time we talk again, we'll be through so many drafts and so many things will have been set in motion.
Yep, a lot of big things are happening right now. So
probably we'll finish like week 1 of football, and that'll be all we talk about for 30 minutes.
Yeah, we might have to do an hour and a half show next time. But I'm here for it. I hope you're there for it, and everyone listening, I hope you're there for it as well. Please remember to like and subscribe.
Smash that like button.
And yeah, we'll talk to you next time. Peace out, everybody.
Take care, y'all.